Chris Rock was pronounced dead, but what he saw on the other side will shock you. Are you spiritually prepared for what's coming? The world is on the brink, and what he reveals could mean life or death for your soul. You're about to hear a message directly from Jesus that exposes the hidden dangers already influencing your life every single day. But first, I need you to do something incredibly important. Many people watching these videos haven't subscribed yet. If that's you, hit subscribe right now. It takes only 1 second, and you'll ensure you never miss out on urgent messages like this one. Now, let's continue. Chris Rock was just a normal pilot, taking a routine flight from Toronto when suddenly tragedy struck. He died in a horrific crash, but death wasn't the end. He was taken face to face with Jesus Christ, who revealed a terrifying spiritual deception happening right now, hidden in plain sight. A silent war is raging, targeting your soul through everyday technology, deceiving billions into spiritual slavery. Chris was sent back with a clear and urgent warning. What you're about to hear could change everything you think you know. Stay until the end, because this message from heaven could save your eternal life. Chris Rock never feared turbulence. He had logged thousands of hours in the cockpit, trusting his instincts and the rigorous training that had shaped him into a seasoned commercial pilot. That day, he was flying a routine route from Toronto, a clear sky stretching endlessly ahead. But as he reached cruising altitude, something went horribly wrong. A sudden jolt, warning lights flashing across the dashboard. Then silence. Every system, every backup, every safeguard failed in an instant. The plane was no longer responding. Passengers screamed as the aircraft spiraled downward. Chris fought to regain control, but deep down he knew this was it. Impact. Everything went black. Then, nothing. Or so he thought. He opened his eyes, only to see his own body crushed inside the wreckage below. But he felt no pain, no panic. Instead, a weightlessness surrounded him, a calm that defied the chaos beneath. Floating above the scene, he watched rescuers rush in, their voices muffled as if coming from another world. Time itself felt stretched, irrelevant. Then, an overwhelming warmth, a presence, a pull, not back to his body but forward, towards something he couldn't yet comprehend. Chris was being drawn into an experience that would change everything. Chris felt himself propelled through an endless tunnel, surrounded by a radiant living light that defied description. It wasn't harsh, it felt gentle, yet powerful, as if the very fabric of existence was embracing him. The brightness grew intense, so brilliant that it should have blinded him, yet somehow it felt comforting, like returning home after a lifetime of being lost. Suddenly, he found himself face to face with a figure whose presence alone radiated profound peace and love, a presence unmistakably divine. Chris immediately knew who stood before him: Jesus. He didn't need introductions or explanations. The knowledge flowed through him, pure and certain. Chris tried to speak, overwhelmed by awe and reverence, but no words came. Instead, his heart opened, communicating silently, deeply, with clarity beyond words. Jesus looked at Chris, his eyes compassionate yet firm, filled with wisdom beyond human understanding. In a voice gentle but filled with authority, Jesus spoke directly into Chris's soul, revealing a hidden battle raging unseen by human eyes. Spiritual warfare that engulfed Earth daily. Chris watched in awe as Jesus unveiled visions of humanity, millions of souls obliviously ensnared by invisible darkness, manipulated by deceptive forces they neither recognized nor resisted. Jesus showed Chris the subtle yet powerful tactics of these dark entities, whispering lies that sowed fear, confusion, division, and despair into hearts and minds. Chris saw how easily humanity succumbed, unaware of the spiritual influences subtly guiding their choices. People believed themselves free, yet unknowingly they walked paths carefully orchestrated by darkness to separate them from divine truth. The revelations shook Chris deeply. He had always considered himself spiritually aware, yet now he realized how blind he had been. Every fear, every worry, every temptation he dismissed as insignificant had deeper spiritual consequences. Jesus then placed his hand gently on Chris's shoulder, urging him to pay close attention because what he was about to see would change his life and potentially the future of humanity itself. Instantly, Chris's vision shifted. He stood beside Jesus, watching vivid scenes unfold across the landscape of human civilization, a future that felt frighteningly imminent. He saw millions eagerly embracing advanced technologies, marveling at their ability to simplify life. Digital implants became the norm, embedded effortlessly beneath the skin. At first, these devices seemed miraculous, convenient tools enhancing everyday experiences, from banking and health monitoring to effortless communication. But soon, Chris felt an unsettling shift. What began as convenience quickly transformed into dependency. Humanity, blinded by the dazzling promise of progress, surrendered privacy, autonomy, and ultimately their spiritual discernment. Each implant became a subtle yet powerful leash, initially invisible, painless, even desirable, but increasingly tight, impossible to remove without losing essential connections to society. Chris gasped as he observed the shadowy entities revealed earlier by Jesus now entwining themselves invisibly into this technology. Dark energies flowed silently through networks, subtly influencing human thoughts, emotions, and decisions. Humanity's trust in machines allowed the darkness to quietly infiltrate their very minds and souls, leading them gently but relentlessly away from spiritual truths and into numbness and complacency. Then, Chris felt a deep sadness emanating from Jesus. Humanity's blind acceptance of these technological marvels was costing them dearly. Chris saw visions of people who tried to resist becoming social outcasts, branded as irrational, dangerous, or backward. The freedom they once cherished became something distant and unattainable, replaced by an illusion carefully crafted by spiritual darkness. Jesus turned toward Chris, his expression grave, yet filled with compassion. He explained softly but urgently that humanity was on the brink of surrendering to an invisible spiritual slavery, willingly trading eternal truths for temporary convenience. Chris realized that technology itself wasn't inherently evil. It was humanity's blindness to spiritual dangers that allowed darkness to manipulate it. Jesus emphasized the critical importance of discernment, guiding Chris to understand that the battle for souls had never been more subtle or more dangerous. Chris trembled at the implications. If humanity failed to awaken, millions would unknowingly become prisoners, losing their spiritual freedom forever. Jesus looked deeply into Chris's eyes, making it clear. Chris was being sent back not just to warn humanity, but to awaken hearts to the subtle, dangerous deception they faced. Chris stood in stunned silence, witnessing two distinct realities branching out from humanity's choices. Jesus gently guided his attention first toward a future where the digital implants became universally accepted. At first glance, this world seemed flawless, efficient, comfortable, and prosperous. People moved seamlessly through life, their every need instantly satisfied by technology, yet Chris noticed something deeply unsettling beneath the surface. Their eyes held emptiness, their expressions vacant, joyless. As Chris watched closer, a painful realization gripped him. Humanity had become spiritually numb, disconnected from God and from one another. The implants, once seen as gifts, were now shackles that imprisoned their souls in an invisible darkness. Families sat together yet remained isolated, each person engrossed in an artificial reality fed directly into their minds, oblivious to love, empathy, and genuine human connection. Then Jesus turned Chris's gaze toward the second future, Starkly different, yet profoundly powerful, this future held struggle, conflict, and challenges. Society appeared fractured, tensions ran high, and life was unquestionably harder without the convenience of the implants. Yet amidst this chaos, Chris saw something remarkable. A powerful spiritual awakening sweeping across communities. People united in prayer, guided by faith and deep discernment, aware of the subtle spiritual war unfolding around them. In this future, even amidst trials and hardships, Chris sensed an overwhelming presence of divine intervention and protection. Miracles occurred, healing flowed, and individuals found strength and clarity they'd never imagined possible. Despite material struggles, their hearts overflowed with authentic joy, peace, and an undeniable closeness to Jesus. It became clear that this was a future of deep spiritual fulfillment and victory. Humanity was spiritually awake, aware, and prepared. Chris understood now why Jesus had shown him both paths. One appeared attractive on the surface, easy, effortless, but ultimately hollow, robbing humanity of their very souls. The other was challenging, yes, but rich in spiritual fulfillment, eternal reward, and divine guidance. Humanity stood at a critical crossroads, and their choices today would determine which reality became their destiny. Jesus' eyes, filled with compassion and urgency, met Chris's gaze again, silently communicating a profound responsibility. Chris knew his return to Earth was not merely about his own life. It was about awakening humanity, helping them choose wisely before it was too late. Chris felt himself being gently guided back toward the threshold between eternity and life. As Jesus prepared to send him back, a profound urgency filled Chris's soul. Jesus emphasized once more the seriousness of the message entrusted to him. Humanity was in the midst of an invisible spiritual war, a subtle battle where deception thrived. People needed to wake up, discern truth from lies, and hold firmly to their connection with God. As Chris began drifting back toward his body, Jesus' voice echoed powerfully within his spirit, imparting a crucial final warning. The deception wasn't something distant or future-oriented. It was already happening, unfolding quietly every day in homes, communities, and hearts worldwide. People were already losing their discernment, unaware they were slipping deeper into spiritual darkness with every choice influenced by subtle lies. Chris understood his mission clearly. Returning wasn't simply about sharing a fascinating near-death experience. It was a call to action, a spiritual awakening that demanded boldness and truth. Jesus warned that many would reject his message, dismissing him as deluded or radical. Yet, the truth remained undeniable. Humanity's spiritual survival depended on their willingness to see beyond the illusion, reject the easy path of convenience, and actively choose faith, truth, and eternal life. Suddenly, Chris felt the pull toward Earth intensify. He struggled briefly, longing to remain in the comfort of divine presence, but the purpose burned clearly within him. The world needed this revelation urgently. Chris vowed silently to spread the warning with every breath remaining in his earthly life. His spirit ignited with determination, understanding the weight and honor of the task ahead. With that promise solidified, Chris jolted awake, gasping deeply in pain and shock, finding himself back in his broken body amidst emergency responders. Voices shouted, amazed at his miraculous return, but Chris's mind was focused solely on the powerful message now burning inside him, a message meant for everyone alive. The battle is real, deception is near, and only closeness to Jesus will safeguard their souls. Now you've heard Chris Rock's urgent warning, a message directly from Jesus, calling humanity to awaken from spiritual deception. But here's the critical question. Are you ready to reject convenience for truth? Would you choose spiritual freedom, even if it means hardship? Tell us your answer in the comments below. Your story matters. And if you've had a similar experience, please share. You might help someone else awaken spiritually. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications right now, because you can't afford to miss the life-changing messages we're bringing next. Also, check out the next recommended video on your screen for another powerful testimony that will deepen your faith and open your eyes to what's really going on in the world.